Hi there. I'd like to introduce you to Requester. So I'm going to start off by sending a GET request to an endpoint and see what happens. I'm going to type GET, open some parentheses, and then paste this URL in here. And then I'm going to hit Control R to send this request. Okay, so here's our response. We can see the status code, the time elapsed, the content length, the URL, request headers, response cookies, and here are our response headers. From this response tab, I can replay this request by hitting Control R or Command R for convenience, so I'm going to do that now. And here we have a response again. So now we're going to make this more interesting and more useful by adding an env-var. The way we do that is open up an env block with 3 hashes and then env. We duplicate this guy and bring him down here, and now all of the code that's inside this fenced env block is our env-vars. So we're going to make this base URL an env-var. And now I'm going to paste some other requests in here that use this env-var. First is a GET request to this comments endpoint. I'm going to execute that. It looks like we just got a bunch of comments. Here's a post to this post endpoint. It looks like we just created a new post, and here's a delete request to this first post here, and it looked like that went just fine as well. So here's something nice about Requester's UI. If we go back to our Requester tab here and we re-execute this GET request, you'll notice that it doesn't open a new response tab because it recognizes that this response tab is already open. And that's the same for these other requests as well. Another nice thing that Requester does is execute requests in parallel. So if I select all of these requests here and hit Control R, they will all get sent in parallel. When they come back, my focus doesn't change to one of the response tabs because I executed more than one request. Let me show you guys that again. If I execute just one of these, then my focus will change after the request comes back. One of the nice things about response tabs is that you can modify requests and replay them from the response tab. So if we head back over to this tab where we got these comments and we add something to the query string like A equals B, and we re-execute this request, well, we can see that A equals B was added to the query string. If I went back over to the requester file and I added some params using request syntax for adding params to a query string, and I re-execute this request, we'll see that C equals D was inserted into the query string. Now I'm going to close these response tabs using a requester command, requester close all response tabs, and show you how Requester's history works. Requester has a fuzzy searchable history of your recently executed requests that you can open by going to the command palette and looking for Requester request history. If I hit enter here, I'm going to get a list of requests in reverse chronological order. The most recent requests are up at the top. This one was executed 33 seconds ago. It was successful. The status code was 200. And that question mark there indicates that it was executed from a file that has not been saved. This request is a file that we haven't saved yet. I'll close that and I'll open this back up. Well, now it's 1 minute and 1 second ago. We have our delete request that was 1 minute and 22 seconds ago, and this post request that was 1 minute and 22 seconds ago. If I want to find one of these requests, I can just type, for example, post. Well, there's my request. I hit enter, and it re-executes this request for me, and it remembers about the environment variables that were used when this request was executed. Not only does it remember these environment variables, it also remembers what file it was executed from. And that means that if you re-execute a request days after you've executed it the first time, and your env-vars have changed in the env block in this file, those up-to-date MVARs will be used. This is a living, breathing request history that is very easy to search. Like if I want to find the request that I issued to the comments endpoint with that A equals B query string, well, I'll just do, get comments A equals B. There it is. I hit enter, and here's this response. It's worth mentioning that Requester is built on top of a Python library called Requests. Requests is a famous library. It's famed for its power and its elegance. And what this means is that if you're wondering how to do something with Requester or whether something is possible, you can just check out request documentation. So to do that, open the command palette and just look for Requester show syntax. It'll open up requests documentation in your browser. And you can just check this out. As you can see, the syntax here, request.get, request.post, request.put, is the same as the syntax that Requester uses, minus the request prefix, which is optional in Requester. And because Requester leans so heavily on this library, pretty much anything this library can do, Requester can do. And that means Requester can do pretty much anything you need to debug, test, or explore a modern API. If you can't find the answer here in this documentation, just search for it on Google. Request is a very popular library. There are literally thousands of Stack Overflow answers and blog posts related to this library. So just check that out. So that covers the introduction. If you haven't done so already, you should check out Requester's documentation, the README. It explains how everything works and like what Requester is capable of. Things that we didn't touch on are using Requester to download files, chaining requests with Requester, using it for sessions and authentication. It even has a built-in test runner that allows you to specify the response that your API should return using JSON schema. So just head to the docs and check that out, and I hope that this video has given you an idea of what Requester is capable of. Thanks for watching.